today we're going to talk about using commas to offset non-essential information. So we've been talking about commas, and if you can say a sentence without a certain word or phrase, we can probably offset that word or phrase with commas. So here's some examples. My best friend, John, wants to be a pilot when he grows up. We could just say, my best friend wants to be a pilot when he grows up. Or we could say, Vihan wants to be a pilot when he grows up. This is not essential because we already have the subject, my best friend, that tells us who Vihan is. So we can put commas here to offset that. Another example is his uncle, who was a pilot in the Air Force, visited him yesterday. The phrase, who was a pilot in an Air Force, is not essential because the sentence still makes sense and we still have all the information that we need without this phrase. We could just say his uncle visited him yesterday. So we use commas here and here, right before and right after this non-essential phrase to offset it. So we're going to read these sentences down here and rewrite them. We'll use correct capitalization and punctuation, and then offset non-essential information with commas. Let's read the sentence. My oldest sister Elizabeth is also an airplane pilot. You can pause the video here for a moment. Where do you need to change any capitalization? What errors are there? Well, hopefully you said we need a capital letter at the beginning of the sentence. And also, Elizabeth is a proper noun, so we need to capitalize he in Elizabeth. What ending punctuation do we need for this? Pause and think about that answer. Hopefully you said that we needed a period because this is a declarative sentence. It's just a statement. Now, let's look for the non-essential information. My oldest sister Elizabeth is also an airplane pilot. If we take away oldest sister and just say my Elizabeth is also an airplane pilot, that is a little confusing. But if we say my oldest sister is also an airplane pilot, the sentence still makes sense. We still get the same idea of who's an airplane pilot. So we can offset Elizabeth with commas. Let's look at the next sentence. Julia, a 21-year-old woman from Paris, works as a flight attendant. So first of all, what capitalization do we need to correct? Pause to answer that question. Hopefully you said we need to capitalize J in Julia because Julia is a proper noun and also it's the first word of the sentence. Now let's think, what information in this do we not need? If we took out a 21-year-old woman from Paris, we'd still have the same essential important information. Julia works as a flight attendant. So we can put a comma after Julia and after Paris. What punctuation do we need to end this sentence with? Hopefully you said a period because this is another declarative sentence. I'll give you some of these to practice with as well on your slides. But I'm also going to give you this to practice with. Using commas when writing dates. So when we're writing a date, we put a comma between the day and the date. So for example, I was born on February 28th, 2010. We place a comma between the numbers 28 and 2010. We also place a comma between the day of the week and the month. For example, my brother will be 30 years on Tuesday, May 26th, 2020. We'll rewrite these sentences, or we'll correct these sentences using correct capitalization and punctuation, and then including commas where we need them. My parents moved into this house on March 17, 2008. What capitalization do we need for this? Pause and answer that question. Well, hopefully you said we need a capital letter at the beginning of the sentence. And also we need to capitalize March because it's a proper noun. What punctuation do we end this with? Hopefully you've said a period because it's a declarative sentence. And then I want you to think, where do we need a comma? we need to include a comma right here between the date and the date, between the day and the year. Let's do the second one together as well. My grandmother was born on Friday, August 7th, 1959. So first of all, what capitalization do we need? Pause the video to answer that question. We need to capitalize the M in my because it's the beginning of the sentence. We also need to capitalize the F in Friday because Friday is a proper noun. August is another proper noun, so we need to capitalize that as well. What punctuation do we need to end this sentence with? Hopefully you set a period. Since it's such a declarative sentence, we're making a statement. And where do we need to add commas? If we look back up at our comma rules, we need to place a comma between the day and the date, and between the day of the week and the month. So I'll put a comma after Friday, and then a comma after August 7th, and before 1959.